What is up, y'all? The Philly Fly Show's checking in here. We're kicking in Right Way Production Studios, and we are going to start something a little different. It's not going to start this, well, it is going to start this week, but it's not going to start for this show. So usually when I come out in the show, I always have from last week a little preview, and I talk about things, and I need a little bit more viewership. I think adding an extra video will help. I'm not going to be adding like the NFL or anything like I used to do, but I am going to add the review after the fight. So it'll either come out on Monday, Tuesday at the latest. That's the latest. I'll put one out, but I'm gonna try to do Sundays and get it done Sunday because it's really quick. It's only 5 to 10 minute show at the most. I hope y'all will watch and kind of have more of a I'll take notes and I'll have more of a refresher of what went on in the whole event, and then we could sit and chit chat about it, whether it's on the comments on my YouTube or if I even make a video where I get people to come in and either call in somehow or get on this live stream and face to face each other and talk about what we think about the fights and what our expert opinions are. Even though you do not fight, if you just are a continual watcher of the UFC, you have a comment. And your comment is well deserved. I hate the community that a couple of the communities I talk in. I want to kind of start a page and just have more of a dialogue with people instead of calling somebody, oh, you know what you're doing about, you casual. No, let's have a chit chat. Let's explain and talk like adults and see who the better fighters are that we like. And just conversation always makes things better. Now, I am going to do a small review where literally I'm only going to tell you what I did last week because I want to toot my own horn for it since I was going to do the show this week, but I got behind on some stuff. I've been on work. I've been trying to get on I bought a new car about a month ago. I've had issues with it right away with someone stole my Cadillac converter. And so I had insurance issues, had to get that fixed. Literally 3 days after I bought the car, someone did that. And so I was hoping to have this Uber stuff done too. I just backed up here. I got a full-time job. I do this. And there's a lot of stuff here to do. But we went 10 for 13 last week with that Anthony Hernandez and Gregory Rodriguez fight, and that was a banger. I just want to say, if you don't like or if you don't have a lot of good fights off the top of your head, you got to show a buddy or a friend something, show them that 5-round fight, man. You could that was just glorious. I mean, glorious. And then I just want to shout out Jamal Emmers. I didn't pick him to win, but I told y'all, Jamal, with his reach, his skill set, and those hands, he's worth a sprinkle. So if you listen to me, you got the little sprinkle with his plus 300. There was one I want. Oh, Markel Medeiros called it, said he'd beat Mason Jones, and he beat Mason Jones convincingly. I love that guy. Can't wait to see his next fight. That's all you get for a review and that little tease on what we're going to be doing starting Sunday. Now, Sunday this week I work in the morning, so I probably will get it out in the evening more-ish for the fights because I also work Saturday morning, and if you don't know, Umar Nurmagomedov versus Song Yadong fight night, which is what we're here for. 2 a.m. starts the prelims, 5 a.m. starts the main card. When I wake up that morning, the main card will have started because I'm going to wake up at 5 like I always do, and I'm going to start with the main card, but I'm not going to be able to watch it at work. I'll have to watch everything when I get home, which means I'll be a little bit interrupted with it at work, but it's all right. We're here for good fights, and God, 2 a.m., 5 a.m. start times. I just hate it. I hate it. I hate it. I hate it. I hate it. But nothing we can do. It's a good bantamweight fight. On this card, there's a lot of bantamweight fights and a decent amount of flyweight fights, too. The heaviest fight is a catchweight on here, which I couldn't even get the catchweight because they didn't even announce it yet, which is frustrating when you don't announce it early in the week. So we're going to jump into it here. We want to have a quicker show here this week, so we're going to jump right into it. We got a welterweight bout with match like number 13. It is Ding Meng versus Cameron Nelson. Now, since we're in China, we're going to have a lot of Chinese fighters on here, and guess what? I'm American, so I screw up other country name fighters like it's going out of style. Yes, I can look up some of John Anik's ways of looking at them, but I can't remember all that stuff all the time, man. I'm just your average dude trying to make you some money. Let's get this. Match like number 13, welterweight bout. Like I said, Ding Meng, negative 142 favorite. Cameron Nelson, plus 112 underdog. Ding Meng is 3-2 in his last 5. He's 0-1 in the UFC. He's coming off a decision loss to another prospect. But a lot of these guys are coming up through that Asian or that Chinese Ultimate Fighter series. And there's been a couple of them. And I don't keep up with the Ultimate Fighter series. So he could have been a guy that came up through there and got a name. But he fought a prospect, lost his first fight. Things happen. Shit happens, you know. Sometimes you got an adrenaline jump in your debut. His counterpart in Cameron Nelson's 5-0 in his last 5. A 7-1 fighter making his UFC debut. And that's kind of a tough fight to go all the way to China and make your UFC debut. That is crazy. Pretty sure Cameron Nelson is Canadian, if I'm not mistaken, if I remember right. I didn't write that down. But, you know, just looking at these two guys, the guy who has more experience for me is going to be Ding Meng. He's fought more fights. He's got a UFC fight under his belt, plus one of those Ultimate Fighter / maybe even Dana White Contender Series. I couldn't tell you off the top of my head, but I'm picking Ding Meng. I think he gets a big win. I'm not super confident on it just because the guy he's fighting is making his UFC debut, but 1 out of 5 on the confidence level, he can get his hand raised. Now, I literally, when I went and wrote these things down, they had them out of order again. So I had to reorder this. So if you see me keep looking down, I'm making sure I got the right order and it's lined up on my notes here. Matchup number 12 is a strawweight female fight. This is a good fight. This isn't, I won't say this is a banger fight, but this is a fight I want to see. Jinnang Zhang versus Julia Poltrowski. Now, Julia's a -230 favorite, whereas Zhang's a +176 underdog. Zhang is 4-1 in her last 5, 0-1 in her UFC debut, which she fought Angela Hill. Crazy. You want to know something crazy, guys? If you don't know the Benny and Barney Hill story, that's a UFO story, Betty or Barney or one of them is her grandfather. Well, it'd be Barney. That's her grandfather or grandparents or whatever. What? That was a crazy news that Joe Rogan I learned on a couple weeks ago. But she fought Angela Hill, her counterpart, and Julia's 2-3 in her last 5, 2-3 in the UFC, coming off a decision loss to another female prospect. You know, I really like how well-rounded Julia is, but Zhang Zhenong's got some hands that are just deadly. So I'm going to go with the underdog here and pick Zhang to get the win, but I'm not confident on it. 1 out of 5 on the confidence level, she can get her hand raised. Now, match like 11 is a good fight. The bantamweight bout, male division fight between Lawrence Louis and Hector Santiago. Hector is a +230 underdog, whereas Louis is a -310 favorite. You know, Lawrence is 5-0 in his last 5, 1-0 in the UFC. He's on a 5-fight win streak, and he looks the part. His counterpart in Hector, he's got a decent record behind him. He's 4-1 in his last 5, 6-1 and for a record making his UFC debut. Here's the thing, though, is he's making it against a guy in Louis who he looks the part. He's well-rounded himself, but I think he's he's got more of the grappling aspect behind him. Hector, you know, with a guy coming in making his UFC debut against a guy like Louis, it's going to be very hard. Plus the 310 favorite shows you that he's a 3-1 dog on him. Hector's going to have a hard time. I think Louis gets a big win and gets a nice finish. 3 out of 5 on the confidence level. Match like number 11, Lawrence Louis' fight, he'll get his hand raised. Now, grabbing my water quick here, guys, before we get to match like number 10. Match like number 10 is a female bantamweight fight. Or, no, it's not a female bantamweight fight. My bad. It's a bantamweight fight. Jeez. We got Xiao Long versus Francesco Nuzzi. Now, Francesco is a +138 underdog, whereas Long's a -178 favorite. Long is 2-3 in his last 5. He's 1-3 in the UFC. He's on a 2-fight lose streak, and his last loss came to Cody Garbrandt. That's not a bad loss, but if I remember that fight correctly, that's the one where Cody either got poked in the eye or kicked in the nuts, and he took the whole 5 minutes, and he didn't look good. Like, he got rocked right before then. And Long I want to say he got a little shell-shocked fighting Cody, and then with that long 5-minute, layoff that happened in the middle of the fight, I think that just put his gas tank out, and Cody was able to capitalize on it. And if I'm not mistaken, dude lost the point. Thinking off the top of my head, I'm pretty sure dude lost the point because of how bad the kick was. And look, man, that's just a gifted win for Cody. And Long, he being the negative 178 favorite, I think he gets a win on Saturday. And the guy he is fighting is 2-1-2 in his last 5. It's kind of a weird way to make your debut. And he has an 11. I must have forgot this. He has 11-2-2 record. So making your UFC debut against a guy like Long, who fought a guy like Cody, and I think that he could have won that fight if he didn't kick him in the nuts. I'm going with Long, man. His hands are good. He can rock you, and he can grapple a bit. So Francesco's not going to be able to just go in there and take him down and submit him. Long's going to get a win, 1 out of 5 on the comments. But he gets his hand raised. Now, match like number 9 is a don't miss banger. I will probably miss this, unfortunately, like I said, because I'll be sleeping and getting ready for my work shift. But, man, it's a good banger fight. I cannot wait to see it. Featherweight bout between Jack Jenkins and Sean Woodson. Sean's a negative 164 favorite, whereas Jack Jenkins is a plus 128 underdog. Jack is 3-2 in his last 5, 4-2 in the UFC. He's coming off a decision win against another prospect there after taking a loss. And then his counterpart in Sean Woodson, he's 4-1 in his last 5, 7-2-1 in the UFC, coming off a KO loss to Dan 50K Ige. Look, Sean's crazy tall for this division. He used to fight at bantamweight, and he's crazy tall for that division. But that weight cut was just killing him. He went to featherweight now, and he's looked better, but he's still huge, man. Huge for featherweight. If he went to lightweight, he'd be a little tinier on the tinier side, but he's still a big guy for this division. His counterpart, though, in Jack Jenkins, man, he's one of those Aussies that can fight, man. He'll bring it. He'll bring whatever fight you bring to him, and that I kind of like that game set. If you want to grapple, he's going to grapple with. If you want to strike, he'll strike with you. His gas tank's there. Sean's gas tank's there. The problem with Sean is he's so long that if someone gets on the inside, I don't think he respects anybody's power, and that's how 50K Ige knocked him out. Now, Jack, I just think Jack gets the win here. I think grappling's going to play a role in it, and that dirty boxing style that Jack's got is the downplay of Sean's game because he's long, lanky, and keeps you at distance. But Sean stays at distance and keeps him out there with a jab and gets a nice jab going right from the start. Not a good night for Jack. But for me, it's going to be Jack's dirty boxing getting on the inside, that clinch work, and if he gets hit and rocked right away from Sean, because Sean's got power and he can hit, Jack will go to the grappling, and that's where I just think Sean, I don't know if he's gotten better. We're going to have to see what he brings to the table, but Jack's getting a win on Saturday. 3 out of 5 on the comments level. Jack gets his hand raised. Now we go to the flyweight male division. We get Ray Tesura versus Kevin Crazy Eyes Borjas. Crazy Eyes got a great win against Andre Lima in his last fight, and I think he might roll into it on the next one. But look, man, Ray's very good and very, very well-rounded. In the grappling part, he's actually way better than Kevin Borjas. But all Kevin's got to do is stuff some takedowns and get him tired. It could be a long night for Ray. Ray is 4-1 in his last 5. He's 2-1 in the UFC. He's coming off a submission win against Gourlay, who's a good win against. Get a good win against Ray. Get Ray a good win against him. That was a good win. Kevin Borjas, he is 2-3 in his last 5. 2-4 in the UFC. He's coming off that decision win against Andre Lima, who we'll see fight later in the night. That's a big win, dog. Andre Lima losing that fight was crazy to me. I didn't think he would lose that fight, but Kevin Borjas put it on him. Kevin's a plus 460 underdog. Ray's a negative 750 favorite. I'm picking Ray, but you definitely are putting a sprinkle on Kevin. For what he did to Lima his last fight and being a big underdog and getting a win, shows that he can still do it. He can be a point fighter and do it. But after watching some of these underdogs here, I'm going to start telling you guys when to put a sprinkle on certain people because it's just, I mean, like, I can't think of all the fights off the top of my head right now, but the Neil Magny fight like 2 weeks ago or last week, that was crazy that he got a win there, and he was the underdog. It's just nuts. Just nuts. And then obviously what happened with Bellamir this week, that's kind of crazy too. I got to stop moving because my camera keeps adjusting and going all blurry on me here. But, hey, man, Ray gets a win. Sprinkle on Kevin Borjas because that plus 460 is fire, especially against a guy who what he did to Lima. But Ray gets a win. I'm going to say 3 out of 5 on the confidence level because I just don't see Kevin being able to beat Ray Tesoro. Stay in the flyweight division here. Match link number 7. Namsarai Bayabar versus Andre Lima. Andre is a negative 295 favorite, whereas Nasmarai is a plus 220 underdog. Nasmarai is 5-0 in his last 5. He's making his UFC debut with a 10-1 record, and he's on a 6-fight win streak. That's some crazy stuff to fight a guy in Andre Lima. Yeah, they're kind of giving him a bounce-back fight, but fight a guy that skilled and that experienced in UFC, crazy. Andre is 4-1 in his last 5, 4-1 in the UFC, coming off a decision loss to Borjas. Like, it's just nutty to me that he still lost to Borjas. But Andre gets back in the win column. Not a lot to say about Nasrai making his UFC debut. He's making it against one of the toughest guys in that division. 3 out of 5 on a confidence level. He gets his hand raised. I also didn't do rankings on this one, guys, because I just didn't do it this week. Early morning fights, not worried about the rankings on the UFC fight night. Match link number 6 is another flyweight fight between Bilal Hassan and Nilson Rojas. Now, Nilson's a plus 500 underdog, whereas Bilal is a negative 850 favorite. Bilal is making his UFC debut. He's 5-0 in his last 5 and a 9-0 fighter. His counterpart is the exact same thing, a 5-0 in his last 5 and 9-0 fighter. Somebody's O has got to go, baby. And it's really hard to pick fights like this with guys that are making their UFC debut. I won't say sprinkle on that plus 500 just because I don't know what fighter's going to show up and how they're going to show up. But that negative 850, I'm not going to go against in the pick. I just think being an 8-1 dog coming in on a UFC debut, the odds makers know something. So could be wrong, but I'm going to pick Hassan to get his first win in the UFC. We'll see how things go. Matchup number 4 here is another flyweight bout. That is 1, 2, 3. No, sorry. Matchup number 5. Skipped a fight here. Catchweight bout. These both guys are under light heavyweights, so I'm going to guess that it's going to be at a catchweight of like 210 or 215 because they must have made it late, put the fight together late, only a couple weeks, so they couldn't get down in the weight. And things just happened. Now, we got Lou Say versus Levi Rodriguez Jr. Levi's a plus 164 underdog, whereas Lou Say is a negative 215 favorite. Lou Say is 3-1 in his last 5. Well, his last 4. 3-1 record only, and making his UFC debut. That's crazy to me, to get in the UFC like that. And then Levi Rogers, he 3-1-1 in his last 5, 0-1 in the UFC, and lost to KO to the guy, to Franco. Now, Franco, he's a prospect coming up, so it's not a bad name to lose to, but at the same time, Levi's got to get back in there and get a win, especially a guy who's only got 4 professional fights, and that guy's a 2-1 favorite. That means he had a lot of amateur fights, he's probably got some great grappling. I couldn't find a lot of news about Lou Say, but I found enough on Levi Rogers to also really like him and pick him to get a win. 1 out of 5 on the confidence level that you can get that plus 164 and cash that to the bank. All right, now we'll get to match link number 4, and it's another flyweight bout. Alex Perez versus Suma Darje. Suma Darje, negative 235 favorite. Alex Perez plus 180. These guys literally just fought each other. And Perez, I don't remember if he got poked in the eye or kicked in the nuts, but they could not continue. And they were running this fight back. I'm happy they're running this fight back because Perez is a guy who can fight, but just something's happened where I'm thinking weight cuttings finally getting to him and the age is getting up there. But I really want to see that whole fight play itself out because I don't know if Sumadarje's actually got it to fight in the UFC, but we'll see. Now, Alex is 2-2-1 in his last 5, 8-6 in the UFC, which there's no contest and stuff. So I don't know what my research did there, where I failed if I did not add the one tie or no contest he's got, but he's got a no contest against Sumadarje his last fight. Sumadarje 3-1-1 in his last 5, 6-4 in the UFC, and coming off a no contest to Alex Perez. Like I said, they fought each other literally last. It was not that long ago. They're running it back, and now they're in China running it back. Craziness. Alex Perez, though, I'm going to be rooting for him, but I think Sumadarje wins. My only reasoning with that is just the way Alex has looked in his last couple fights now. He's just, like I said, the age and the cutting of the weight might be finally getting to him, but that guy's a dog. He's one of the guys that carry power in the flyweight division, but Sumadarje puts together combos. He can grapple. It's going to be a tough fight for Alex, and I think Sumadarje is bigger than him if I'm not mistaken. So we're going to go that way, and only 1 out of 5 on the confidence level that he can get his hand raised. Now, match like number 3, which like I said, I got all reordered here. I have to look up here when it should be down here, is a bantamweight bout between Orgelang and Kai Ascura. Kai is a negative 500 favorite. Orgelang's a plus 340 underdog. Orgelang is 2-2-1 in his last 5, 4-5-1 in the UFC. He's coming off a KO loss to Yadong. It's a guy I thought he was going to beat, so that shocked me. And then his counterpart in Kai is 3-2 in his last 5, 1-2 in the UFC. Got his first win against Cameron Smotherman, and that's a big win. That guy was not... After what we see Kai in his title fight and then a second fight in the UFC, I thought he wasn't even going to be able to compete. He showed me that he can still compete, and I picked against him. But beating a guy like Cameron Smotherman is just nutty to me that you can get a win over him. That means your game in the UFC, and I've got to call it the way I see it. So I'm picking Kai Ascura to win, if you can't tell, because Orgelang just doesn't look like he can compete with these guys. Now, he gets a win against Kai, I might be back on that bandwagon. But Kai, I don't see him losing. 3 out of 5 on the confidence level. He can get his hand raised. Co-main event of the evening is a female bout, strawweight division. Yan Xiaonan versus Denise Gomes. This is a good fight, guys. Both these girls are ranked. I don't have the ranking, obviously. I'm just kicking myself right now for not doing that. But Denise Gomes plus 126 underdog. Yan Xiaonan negative 162 favorite. Yan Xiaonan is 3-2 in her last 5, 9-4 in the UFC, coming off a decision loss to the title challenger Averna Jambroda. It's not a bad loss. My problem with Yan is I was told that her grappling defense was absolutely extreme, and in that fight it was not that good. Denise Gomes, she's well-rounded. She's 4-1 in her last 5, 6-2 in the UFC, and on a 4-fight win streak. But when you go and start looking at her wins, they're against the prospect girls that they're gatekeeping and prospect girls. I'm not going to jump on her bandwagon and say she's the elite of the elite, but she beats Yan Xiaonan on Saturday. That's it. She's the elite of the elite and can compete. Yan, though, has literally fought the title challenger, fought some good girls, been in the rankings for a bit now. And to have that 9-4 record, I really like it. I really like Yan Xiaonan's boxing and her distance fighting. But the problem is Denise Gomes is a girl who will get on the inside and throw them counter power shots. And I don't know if Yan can take those. We haven't seen that yet. We've seen her just get manhandled in that grappling, but I don't see that happening with the Denise Gomes. I think she has enough grappling experience and defense to compete with Gomes' small amount of grappling that she does, but she's more of a power counter striker from the inside. So it's going to be a hard fight for Gomes to get on the inside when Jan's a bigger, longer, lankier fighter for me. Jan gets a win, 1 out of 5 on the confidence level there. If you haven't noticed, like that whole main card, I'm not very confident in these guys. These fights are pretty close, or there's UFC debuts in there. So we get to the main event of the evening: boys, girls, cats, and dogs. This is taking way longer than I wanted it to. Umar Nurmagomedov versus Song Yadong. Now Song's a plus 360 underdog. Umar negative 530 favorite. We've seen Umar lose. The problem with that is he lost to a fighter that's like the same size as him. Song's got really good boxing, but he's not very long in the arms. He throws a lot of power shots, and he gasses himself out. Umar isn't a guy who's going to throw all the power shots in there. He's going to strike with you, but he's going to mix in that grappling too, because once he gets that grappling going, he can land those crazy strikes on you, and it's not going to be a good night for Song. And I don't think Song's gotten better at grappling at all until he shows it to me. So we obviously are going to take that negative 530, cash it to the bank, but we got to talk about the records here. Umar's 4-1 in his last 5, 8-1 in the UFC. He's got a 2-fight win streak against Bautista and Figueiredo, which Bautista is elite, but Figgy is on the end of his career on a downslide. Song Yadong, he is 3-2 in his last 5, 12-4-1 in the UFC. He's had a lot of fights, and he's got he's coming off a submission win against Figgy as well. Well, they both don't have submission wins, but they both got wins over Figgy in their last fights. I don't see Figgy competing anymore, but Umar and Song is going to be a good fight. It's just, I think Umar's just that much better than him. Take that negative 530, cash it to the bank. That's your show this week. Check out the Joe Money Show and check out Sunday's edition of the recap of the week. So, peace out, y'all. See you next week.